Hello everyone, welcome back to Thrift by Design. I am today going to do our first, and it's going to be a very simple recipe, our first cooking demonstration. I'm going to show you how to grill a steak on a stovetop grill. So we're going to start by marinating this steak, and I usually just get what's on sale. Just grab anything that says that it's for grilling. This one actually happens to be great for braising, so it's going to be a bit different. A meat that is meant for braising requires two steps. The first one is, you put it on the stove and grill it a little bit, and then you're supposed to either cut it up or whatever and continue cooking it in a stew or something. But basically what that means is that it's a harder meat, so it's going to require some slow cooking so that it can tenderize and be edible. But I like it. I like this particular cut because of all this fat, and I know that they tell you to stay away from all of this fat and all these oils and all that fun stuff, but with steaks you might as well, if you're going for a lean steak, you might as well just like ask for the hide, because like that's what you'll be eating. It's going to be so rough that you're not going to enjoy it. So all this stuff cooks down, and the parts that don't are actually going to be, you can remove them if it grosses you out, or you can eat them. Some people love it, but it's all entirely up to you. Anyway, so I don't want to have this out too long. We're going to start by I'm using grapeseed oil for this marinade. And this is actually going to be very simple. You're going to be surprised how simple it is. It's going to be like, dude, did we even need a demonstration for that? But, yeah, we did. Because I didn't always know how to cook, and I had no idea how to do anything. So a video like this would have been awesome. Alright, so some oil, and then I just got this seasoning thing, steak and chop rub from First Street, which I think it's not Costco, it's the other one. Smart and Final, you can get this at, and it's tasty. So just very liberal. You need a lot of this stuff. Don't like freak out that, oh my god, the whole thing went in. If the whole thing went in, that might be a problem, but you can use a lot of this stuff. Alright, so you spread it around. I'm using my hands. My hands are clean, and I'm going to eat this. I'm not sharing this, so. But there you go. And then you flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. A little bit more oil. And no oil is healthy, but, it's not unhealthy either. I mean, well, just don't drink out of a bottle or whatever. Most of it's gonna fry and whatnot, and everybody's trying to live longer and do the healthier things, and and you should do that. Take care of yourself. The objective is to be as healthy as you can be, and to treat your body well. If you're looking for to live forever, well, you're not going to. So have fun, enjoy yourself, do what you can, and don't freak out over things. A little oil is really not going to kill you. So once we've done that, I'm going to put this back in the fridge and give it at least 20 minutes, and then we'll be able to grill it, and I'll show you that next. Alright, but for now it's going back in the fridge. Alright, so we're back. We're going to grab the meat out of the fridge so that we can place it on the grill. So, looks beautiful. We'll set it there. I paid about $4 for this thing, so that's not a bad deal. It'll feed a family of 3 or 4. You just have to, obviously, not just have a plate of meat. You'll have things that go with it, as a little salad or some mashed potatoes, some oven-baked potatoes, so just something else. So anyway, I'm going to grill it in this thing. And this sucker happens to be obviously an iron cast grill pan And if you're not familiar with cooking on iron grills, then I suggest that you look for the other video where I explain how to do so, because these are great to cook on, and they're great for grilling indoors and all that stuff, but they do require a little bit of prep before you can cook on them. And then you have to also know how to cook on them, because there's just some annoying stuff that you have to know about these. Anyway, I'll just get into it real quickly. When you first buy them, they need to be prepped, which means that you oil them inside and out, the entire thing. You bake them for about half an hour at 350, and then they're ready to use. Okay, that's basically it. That's the whole gist of it. And then when you are going to cook on it, you put your oil on it. You set your heat on medium. You never have to get too crazy with it, because cast iron is known for retaining heat. So it's basically like you're cooking in a stovetop, and then also in a baking in an oven, because it doesn't lose its heat. So it's really cool. You know, other pans, what tends to happen is that they heat up. They're fantastic until you go to put your meat on it, and then once you do, then you lose quite a bit of the temperature that you had on it, and then the meat kind of tends to not cook as nicely as it could. Alright, so I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to place it into our pan. I love that sound. Alright, so once you do that, you just basically, now you just have to wait for it to do its thing. Don't rush it. Don't ever rush it. It'll tell you when it's ready. You know, give it about, for something this size, this is about a, I don't remember what size it was, but let's say it's a little bit over a pound, okay? Give it, gosh, and then, you know, you get into so many things, like, alright, I'm Mexican, so, you know, Mexicans tend to like their meats cooked all the way through, very well done, and it took me a very, very, very long time to figure out that that's not the proper way to eat meat, unfortunately. You don't want your meat to cook all the way through and to be very well done. That's not the best way to eat a steak. What you want to do is you want to cook it, you want to brown it on both sides really, really well, and then you can decide on what you want the middle to look like. But it should never be brown in the middle. You know, you can go from rare, which is what it is out of the container, to well done. You know, go somewhere in the middle. I mean, I like a medium. I actually like it more on the rare side, but you know, when I'm cooking for other people, I don't want somebody to freak out because it's red in the middle. But you know, it tastes better. It really does. And you know, with all the stuff that's coming out, it's actually studies have shown that eating very, very well done meat is actually not good for you, because what the overcooking does is it creates carcinogens, and carcinogens are what lead to cancerous growths in our body. So, you know, if you can avoid that, you know, everybody wants to live as long as they can. You know, you can avoid that by just not cooking your meat so much. Anyway, so I'm going to give this about 10 minutes, and the way that you'll know that it's ready is that you'll see the side of it, and it should be, see, it's already starting to turn color. It should be that color, that little golden brown color, halfway throughout the entire thing. Alright, and don't move it, because you know, I mean, you can move it, but people like, when you serve a steak, they like seeing the grill marks, and if you move it too much, you lose the straight, beautiful lines that the pan is creating, and you start making like a grid pattern, and it doesn't look so great. So, you know, if we're going for looks, then just leave it and let it do its thing. Give it a few minutes, be patient, and then you can flip it over. And with cast iron, once the meat is cooked properly on the one side, it'll just easily come up, and you can turn it easily. If it starts to stick, it's not ready yet. Okay, so just give it a test, and if it's coming up easily, then you're ready to flip it and let the other side cook. All right, so let's let it do its thing, and then I'll come back. All right, so we're back, and we're ready to turn this steak. And as I said, because everything that I say is the Bible or whatever, when it gets browned to about halfway, that's when you know that this thing is ready to turn. All right, so let's go ahead and turn it. Just grab the sucker and turn it over. Voila! Wasn't painful at all. So now we do the same thing. We wait a few minutes for it to cook on the other side, and then it's done. And then I'll show you what I'm going to serve this with, because it's going to be really, really good. And we'll have prepared a meal for about 3 to 4 people, and depending on the size of the people, I'm talking about 3 of me, 4 of me. But you know, if I were 6'4" and 225 pounds, then I would probably have about this would probably make 2 servings, or if I'm really hungry, it could be just 1 serving. So it's all about how much of it you want to have, and how hungry you are, and your body, and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so about 5 minutes on the other side, and it will be ready, and then I'll move on to the next thing. So, you know, I could keep filming for 5 minutes, but watching paint dry and watching food cook, standing in front of it, you know. So, see you in a bit. Alright, and we're back, and I'm going to show you what else we're going to put on the plate with that steak. And at Smart & Final, I picked up the steak, and I also picked up this bag of cooking with spinach and power greens, and it's a mixture of spinach, baby bok choy, and baby shards. So when you have about 3 minutes left of cooking on this steak over here, we're going to grab as much of this as we would like, and we're not going to season it or add anything special to it. We're just going to grab a bunch and throw it in there to cook with the steak. Alright, and it doesn't need that long to cook, so you know, it's like, well, how do I know when it's 3 minutes before the steak is done that I need to put this stuff in, you know? I don't know. So the best advice I can give you is that let your steak cook, and when you think you're about 3 minutes away from it being ready for you to eat, put these guys into the whatever you're cooking it in. Alright, because they don't take that long to cook. And if it makes it easier not to have to worry about timing, cook your steak all the way through, and then put the heat of this sucker on low, and then throw them in just by themselves, and let them season with what's left of the juices that the steak left behind on the pan. All right, and let them cook for about 3 minutes, and they'll be done. So I'm gonna need my hands to turn these around, because after a minute and a half, they start to lose their shape, and I kind of like them not to turn into mush. I still like them to look like leaves when they're on the plate. So actually I can do that while I film. Alright, make sure that they're all off the meat so they're getting some heat to them. Alright, and then there's going to be one more thing after this. It's going to be cooked somewhere else. It's going to be cooked in the microwave. I know, a lot of people give me grief about cooking on microwaves, but I have one, and they are convenient sometimes. Just stay away from them. I know that the electromagnetic waves are really bad for you and all that jazz. So don't stand in front of it while you're heating up whatever you're heating, and you should be fine. You know, if you'd rather cook, I'm going to show you on a pan. There's a way to do that too, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But for now, we've got this little green mixture in, and we're going to let it cook about 2 more minutes, and then the whole thing will be done. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, and we're back. The steak has finished cooking, and the green parts have also, so I've just moved them away from the cooking surface so that they're not continuing to cook. I put them on top of the steak, and I've turned this off. So now we can go on to our next thing, which is going to be I don't know if you've seen this stuff, but it's a Green Giant rice veggies, which actually I discovered because my friend John makes this stuff, and it's really delicious. He's actually on one of those diets that's avoiding carbs, okay? I'm not on any particular diet because there's just so many, and I just do what I feel is best for my body, which is pretty much everything in moderation. So anyway, but I like this stuff. This one is a cauliflower and broccoli medley, and it's kind of like a rice, but the way that I fix it is really, really yummy. So anyway, read the directions on how to cook it. This is actually a lot, but I'm gonna cook the whole thing because you're supposed to, if you're gonna microwave it, you're supposed to leave the back closed. So read the directions, and you know, it says to microwave on high for 5 to 6 minutes. Unopened bag, standing upright in center of the microwave, and then let it stand for a minute. All right, so let's do that. 5 to 6 minutes. I'm gonna do 5.5 minutes, and then let it stand for a minute, and then I'll take it out, and then I'll show you what to do with it. All right, so this was about $2, I think, and this is a lot. I mean, this is probably enough for 3 to 4 people. Okay, so if you don't have 3 to 4 people, plan on having some extra and have a little something to store it, because if you're gonna, unless you want to throw it away, which you can, you know, that's entirely up to you. But if you want to have the rest later, which you will have, plan on having somewhere to store it, or you might even be able to leave it in the bag. Just take out what you're going to use and put the rest of it back in the, not in the freezer, but in the fridge, and then just take it out and heat it when you're gonna eat it. So anyway, so we'll be back. I'm gonna put this in the micro, and then I'll show you what we do with it afterwards. Well, all right then, so we're back, and I've taken out the rice veggie thing out of the micro, and I'm gonna show you what to do with it next. You'll need some mayo, and I am kind of liking this avocado oil mayo lately. And you'll need some butter. That's it. So get your mayo, get your butter, and with the butter, what you want to do is cut about 1/4 of a stick, and you're gonna put that into here while it's still hot. And then your mayo, you want to grab. I thought I saw dust. I did. What is? No, that's not dust. That's from the. It's frosty stuff from it was in the refrigerator. So anyway, I was freaking myself out. I'm like, how did that get dusty? Anyway, so we have about a teaspoon there. We're gonna add a generous amount of this. We're gonna add about 3, maybe 4 teaspoons. Okay, and you know, obviously I'm using a fork, but I'm approximating what a teaspoon is gonna be. You know, do this to taste. I should always, you know, I should just say do it to taste, but sometimes the taste is like, people are like, well, how do I know what this even is going to taste like? How do I know how much to taste this? So start with that for this first run of it, and then take your 1/4 stick of butter and let it melt in the medley there. I'm going to look inside of it. Bury the butter in there so that it melts, because the my battery is just telling me that it's dying because I've been playing music and I've been filming, and it's like, I've had it. I'm about 15%, so I'm gonna turn off your flash. So that's why the light kind of went down a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is turn off another light. Ta-da! Now we have shadows, but anyway, so you can see. So I don't want to make a mess out of this, but let that butter melt, and then mix the entire thing together, and then you'll have a beautiful thing. Alright, so I'm going to put this away, I'm going to let that butter melt, and then I'm going to mix it all up, and then I'll show you what to do with it next. Okay, so we're back. The rice veggie medley thing, I've put the butter, and before, you know, the break, we put the butter and the mayo in it, and now it looks like that. What you'll get out of it, you'll get a kind of a ricey situation happening on your plate, and it also has a mashed potato kind of texture to it, and it's really, 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 really delicious. I could eat this thing just as a meal on its own, but for now we're gonna have it as a side. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit for a minute, and I'm gonna go back here and take our steak out, and I'm actually gonna move these guys onto my plate now, which I have right over here. I'm gonna set them in there, on there, like so. And you may have noticed that every time we come back from a break, I'm a little bit what's the word, tipsier, and that's because when I do these shows, I like to have a beer or 6. So anyway, I'm into my third, is it 3? I don't know. Anyway, so that's why. So take the steak out of the grill pan, and place it onto your cutting board, and then you're gonna serve it, or you're not gonna serve it, you're gonna give somebody this monster, maybe. What you want to do now is cut it into pieces, serving pieces. So I'm gonna go about here for one piece. It's kind of fun cutting meat with one hand. I've been playing Liberace today because I was feeling nostalgic, and I was reading something about Liberace that was really interesting. The man had a really sad life. Anyway, that's about a medium. See, there's no raw anything in there, and for my taste, I overcooked it. But most people can eat this without any problem. You know, one of the reasons why I don't cut meat, I used to cut meat on the plates that I would serve in, and that became really, really gross when the meat started to leak bloody fluids around it, and then you don't want to serve that plate. Nobody wants that bloody plate. So cutting board, and if there is a little bit of juice, then what you want to do is you want to squeeze as much out of it before you put it onto your serving plate. All right, and then that way no one's going to be grossed out, because, you know, nobody wants to see blood on their plate or blood on their anything. So then we're going to place that somewhere. I don't know, what's going to be beautiful there. You know, that's actually been a plate that I've been served somewhere, just that. So, you know, to serve a meal that looks this beautiful to a family of 3 or 4 for under $20, you know, I think you should be proud of yourself. You know, I'm gonna gloat here, but I'm proud of myself, because I could pay $30 for this somewhere, and I have, as a matter of fact, and I don't need to, always. So anyway, so on the other side of the steak, I am going to, with one hand, try to maneuver this thing, and you know, I'm actually going to get a bigger serving thing to scoop it, because that's just ridiculous. Alright, so I'll grab some of this stuff and place it onto my plate, just like so. And there you have it. tonight's dinner. You know, any mother, anyone, if you're cooking for yourself or your family, anyone that serves this is gonna really gloat for a night or something, because it's really neat, right? So this is why I wanted to show you on the pan, because as I was picking up the steak from it, I saw these. This is why you move the green stuff away from the pan, because if you leave it, then you get this kind of dry stuff, and nobody wants to eat that. So there it is, our first video for Thrift by Design. I hope you enjoy it. You can, if you want, you can put a little dab of is it horseradish? You can put a little horseradish onto here to have with the steak, or some steak sauce, or just something for color here if you wanted to, or just it's going to be great on its own. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's been really easy. We cooked it all in one pan. You don't have a lot of dishes to do afterwards, and that's one thing about my shows you're going to see, that we're not going to have a ton of dishes left over when you're done cooking, and if possible, the recipes are all done under 30 minutes. So you're not going to be stuck in the kitchen all day. You know, you're not going to go, oh, I'm going to have to wake up at 6 in the morning to cook dinner. You know, that's ridiculous. Nobody does that. Who does that? So there it is. Enjoy it, and I'll see you for the next one. I hope you'll join me. I hope you will join me. See, that's what happens after 6 beers. Not a clock. See ya.